Hello to everybody on my YouTube channel, Facebook, and boards that I post upon. I decided to go ahead and give you a one-year update on the Circle X Garden project. 1 year ago and 1 day, 1 year and 1 day ago, I was in my backyard and I told you what my plans were going to be. Now, usually whenever you give an update like this, you are going to be expounding upon your successes and what you have done and all that good stuff and the fruits of your labor and things like that. Unfortunately, I cannot give that report at this time. And here's why. My life, for all practical purposes, is very, very complicated. And to be quite honest with you, I have not been able to do what I set out to do. Now, why is this? Well, I have things that I have to do. I hesitate to use the word complications because they're not complications. They are blessings that God has given me, in one way, shape, or form. Number one thing that I have to focus on is this young lady right here. Cute, ain't she? Thank God she looks like her mama. This is Julia. Julia is my youngest daughter. Julia is the child that I take care of during the day. And I cannot be out back working in the garden and leaving a dang near 3-year-old by herself in the house. I would be an irresponsible parent if I were to do that. So, therefore, we have the care and maintenance of Julia, which I have absolutely no problem with, but at the same time, it is a factor that works into this equation. Also, back in May, about 6 months ago from the time of this recording, I had to take on a part-time job with a company that uses a a giant rubber band ball as its logo. Just to be honest, it's Office Max. I work in the print shop. So basically what happens is that when my lovely and gracious wife comes home from her full-time job, I have to go to work, which removes me from the backyard, so I can't even work during the evenings. So that's been a complication. Okay? And then over the past few months, I don't know what God is trying to tell me, but during the day, I'll have, when I have to be inside, I am blessed with absolutely beautiful, clear, crystal blue sky days. And then when I get days off, it rains. I'm not able to go outside. I'm not able to do these things. So I have to take that into the equation as well. Now, here's the other couple of things that I don't know how y'all are able to manage this, but these are the other two, how may we say, now these two are complications. Basically, money, and more importantly, time. I don't know how you guys do what you do. I've been able to reclaim a lot of materials. I've been able to get many things that I need in order to do this. However, so that really doesn't, run into the time aspect until you start getting in the pumps and things like that. And like UV coverings for a grow house or whatever the case may be. Also, the number one commodity that you can never replace in this life is time. And if it comes down to spending time with my child or my children, when Michaela and Angelica are down here, or spending time out in the backyard, there's no question. I'm going to spend time with my children. However, there has got to be a way for me to be able to have my cake and eat it too. So this is what's going to happen. This is what my plan is for the next few months and then the upcoming year. I have to find a way that I can include Julia outside with me, because right now I don't feel safe. I have to maintain her safety. So I have to find a way to get Julia outside with me, and she's about to be 3 next month. I have to have a way to have Julia be outside with me and still be able to work during the days that God gives me that are clear weather, good, cool times and things like that. So what I'm going to have to do, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to shift priorities. I'm going to have to shift priorities. I have to put the grow house project and the aquaponics project on temporary hold. Now, that doesn't mean I'm still not going to be working on it when I can. But for right now, the main focus is going to be building a wooden deck that it's going to be around my patio, and it's going to be enclosed. That way, she's not directly, and this will benefit everybody. I mean, it'll benefit, other family members when they come over. We'll be able to go out on the back porch, the back deck, and, enjoy the wonderful view that we have here at the house. But the main purpose is to give an outside contained area that Julia will be able to come outside. I can work in the backyard, keep an eye on her, and go from there. So that's basically what the plan is at this point in time. And fortunately, I know many of you may be saying, okay, well, building a deck, that's going to take a heck of a lot of money. Not necessarily. I've been reclaiming wooden pallets from my part-time job, and that's really good wood, and it's heat treated, not pressure treated, doesn't have chemicals in it. So not only could I build a deck out of it, but I can also use the pallet wood to do the grow beds for the aquaponics project. Yes, it's gonna be one hell of a lot of work, but it needs to be done. I am not going to leave my child here in the house while I'm working out back. I can't do that. It wouldn't be right. It would be irresponsible as a parent. So that's where that stands. That's where that stands. I haven't done diddly. Okay. The best thing that I've been able to grow is some lettuce and some squash, just because I haven't had the time to do what I need to do. And so therefore I really have to ask you guys. I mean, I know many of you are retired, okay? But I have to ask, how do y'all do it? How do y'all do it financially? How do y'all do it? And more importantly, how do you do it time-wise? Okay? I take care of one child and I have a part-time job. And so, but I see many of you constantly on YouTube, constantly updating your projects, things like that. I just haven't had the time. There's also some other complications that play into this that I'll get into later. Things that I've had to address on a personal financial side and all that good stuff. And I'm not going to put all my business out there. But the thing is that it is what it is. So right now, as it stands, I'm going to build a deck made out of reclaimed pallet wood. At least the majority of it will be that. Of course, obviously, you have to get some posts and all that good stuff. But I have to put the grow house project on hold. Now, the other thing that I got to do is I got to rebuild my back fence. A few months ago, we actually did get a backhoe in here. I never posted that video. And so I might show a clip here about it. But it had problems. It had problems. There were starter problems. A hydraulic line busted. And I lost a lot of time during the summer when my wife was home from her teaching job. So I lost a lot of time, and I got to play a lot of catch-up. Now, I was able to do some things to prepare for the massive pond that I am going to build. It still seems to be holding up pretty well, despite all the rains that we've received, and thank God for the rain. But I have to put that somewhat on hold because I have a back fence to rebuild and I have a deck to build. So needless, and then at the same time, while I'm doing all that, I'll be slowly but surely building grow beds. Now, when it comes to the back fence, I have plenty of reclaimed wood. Fortunately, one of my neighbors, he's a contractor. He reclaims wood and fencing all the time to where I can rebuild it and probably make it even better than what it was to begin with. So that's kind of where I stand on the garden project. I'm not in my backyard right now for a reason. It's an absolute mess, and I feel absolutely horrible about it. But at the same time, I don't have the time. Even when I work a lot on the weekends. So even when my wife is home, I'm not able to get back there because I usually work all day on Sundays, which I really have a problem with, but that's okay. I'm getting paid. But also on Saturdays, I work very long shifts. And so, morning time, things like that is gone. And also, for those of you who might say, well, why don't you get out there before Julia wakes up and do some work? Yes, I do that sometimes. But she usually wakes up. Actually, she's in the other room playing right now. I might bring her in here in a minute. She usually wakes up at the same time that I do. And obviously, my priority is going to be my children. So that's what I have to do. I have to change and shift focuses. I need to build a deck, an enclosed deck, to where Julia can come outside and I can keep an eye on her. I can, still work. And she's getting a little bit older now. So as she hits 4 and 5 and things like that, she'll be able to understand certain things. She'll be a little bit more coordinated. I mean, she's already a smart kid, but, I just don't feel at this point in time that it would be the safest thing in the world to take her outside with me at this point, especially after a rain. Like last night, today's Halloween. Last night, October 30th, 2013, we received a torrential rain. Ain't no way I'm taking her out there right now. That place is a mud pit at this point in time. So there's no way I'm taking her out there. Ain't no way. So that's where we stand on the project. It's still going to happen. I just got to shift priorities. So, I got some bucket plants going on right now. Some squash, zucchini, a little bit of lettuce, all that good stuff. But I got a ton of materials back there that I have to sort through. I have to rebuild that fence. I need to build the deck. And then we can go from there. I did get the entire yard scraped up. I got an area ready for the grow bed. I got an elevated area for the massive pond that I'm going to put in. It's going to be a above ground pool. Oh, yeah, that's right. One update on that. My wife agreed with me that I could keep the pond above ground. Now, what I am going to do is it's not going to be just this blue circle sitting out there with no decoration. Yet again, using reclaimed wood, I can build something around it. Yet again, the number one enemy that I have at this point is time, and then followed by finances. Fortunately, yet again, not to get into all my business, hopefully something with the finances will change at the beginning of the year, and that will help things out. But again, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know. First of all, a lot of you multi-video updaters, y'all, I mean, I understand that many of your videos are short, but you have to shoot them, edit them, upload them. That takes time. That's something I don't have a lot of. And there's also other issues that I'm dealing with at this point in time when it comes to my other two children, Michaela and Angelica, and we will go from there on that. But there is one other subject that I do want to talk about, and I think I'm the first person to do a video about this. If not, correct me. It's October 31st, 2013, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Now, on to the next subject that I wanted to talk about, which I understand that not many of you are just salivating for my opinion on this, but I do feel that something needs to be said about something that happened a couple of weeks ago in the YouTube gardening community. Something that goes beyond just a standard comment in response to a video. A couple of weeks ago, Bobby, mhpgardner and Susan, I'm Still Workin', had obviously announced that they were together, a couple, something. It is obvious that their respective marriages fell apart because they had both admitted that they were married before. And I was surprised. Actually, no, I wasn't surprised at the hypocritical high ground that a lot of people took when it came to this situation. The same people who quote Bible verses all the time in their videos, the same people who invoke God in their videos, just brought out the absolute long knives for Bobby and Susan. These are the same people, and not to be misogynistic or chauvinistic or anything like that, there are some females that came after Bobby and Susan, and they're the same people who are appearing in front of a camera in very immodest dress. Okay, we're talking, things hanging out, if you get my drift. Here's my take on this. We will never ever know what happened between Bobby, mhpgardner, and his wife, nor will we ever know what happened between Susan, I'm Still Workin', and her husband. Okay, we won't know. Now, yes, did they put their business out there? Yes, they did. And I think, for the most part, they've been handling it with a lot of grace and dignity. I personally think that a lot of us put this together a long time ago, but I'm not going to go any further on that comment. But what irritates me is that many, just like what I said almost a year ago, when Bobby did his GMO radio broadcast and everybody went after him on this, and then Bear Prepper did her quote-unquote cannibalism video, everybody came after them. A lot of people came after them. I knew what Bear was doing when she did what she did. It was a joke, okay? And some of you people really need to thicken up your skin, especially if you claim to be the Christians that you claim to be. Now, I come from a perspective that I've been through a divorce. I know what divorce is like. It's not a pretty thing. No, it is not necessarily sanctioned. It is not sanctioned by the Bible. It is not. But the thing is that there comes a time, unfortunately, that you do have to cut your losses. Now, I don't know who is at fault in these respective relationships. It's none of our damn business, okay? They announced their little thing that they did, and oh my Lord, the knives just came out. All these things just started coming out for Bobby and Susan. I am not going to necessarily sit here and defend them, even though I am. My thing is, I'm not making any excuses for them. We will never know what happened. We will never know what went on. It's not our business, okay? Yes, they put their business out there, they made a statement, and they left it at that. What Bobby and Susan have done for gardeners, for canners, for preppers is, we can't equal that. I don't judge people's souls. I judge people's actions. And yes, it did kind of, as I was saying in the previous part of the video, it did amaze me that with the challenges that both of them had, that they were able to produce these videos all the time. I have a perfectly healthy 3-year-old and a part-time job, and Bobby's constantly cranking out, and I can't update my own channel that often. But Bobby, he runs a mobile home park. He had a special needs daughter, and he was married. But yet somehow he was able to put out a video every week. And from what I understand, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan's husband was permanently disabled, and somehow she was able to do what she was able to do. But that's neither here or there at this point in time. What my problem is with the gardening community having this long knife, hypocritical high ground. And I meant to save this for another video, but I think that it's apropos that I do it right now. The thing that irritates me the most about the gardening community, and I've experienced this from a certain website that I will not verbally mention, is that sometimes we honestly do not practice Christian charity. We don't. We don't. There's a certain website that will not go named that I went on a few months ago. It was like 5 or 6 months ago. I needed 20, 30 bucks. Okay, so I asked some of my friends on that website to, could I get it and get it back to you and all that good stuff. Remember, my number one priority, is my children. Or my children, I mean. Pardon my bad grammar throughout this video, but when I get worked up, my grammar goes to hell. I was banned from that website, and it's a very popular website. It's one that many of you consider to be the Bible of gardening, okay? And been banned, things like that. Main reason why I bring this up is because many of these people on this website that will not go named, they sit here and they talk about their relationship with God. They sit here and they talk about their Christianity. They brag about it. They put Bible verses. They put Proverbs. They put Psalms. They put quotes from the gospel and things like that in their signatures. But when it comes down to actually practicing Christian charity to a soul that was in need, just temporarily, oh man, wow. We got to kick that person off. Now, going back to Bobby and Susan, because sometimes I get ADHD and I get sidetracked. They made a statement. Okay? They're not married. Apparently, they went through the legal system to get divorced from their respective spouses. Whatever the conditions of those respective divorces were, it's none of our business. Okay? It's none of our damn business. And what irritates me the most is that many of you practice this hypocritical high ground. You're going to sit here and condemn and rail on Bobby and Susan for, we don't know if they're living together. We don't even know if they're, I hate to be crude. We don't know if they're sleeping together. We don't know any of that. We can't make any assumptions. And if you're a former military person, you know what assuming does. So my whole problem is don't take hypocritical high ground. Don't do it. I don't pass judgment on Bobby and Susan. I don't. I judge their actions, not their souls. If they have done anything wrong in the spiritual realm, that's not for me to decide. That's for him to decide. That's for his son to decide. So, with all that being said, I really hope and wish that the people that are in the gardening community would get off their high horse about certain things. Like I said, I'm divorced and I'm Catholic. And a lot of you people have a problem with, we Catholics because we're not supposed to get divorced. Well, I really can't help it when my now ex-wife leaves me. And I can't believe I'm actually going to put this out there. I did everything within the confines of the Catholic Church to make that marriage work. And then finally, my priest at the time told me, Eric, you've done everything that you can. If you need to do something legal, the church isn't going to hold anything against you for it. So, I did what I had to do. I've been paying for it ever since. So, my thing to all of you in the garden community who want to take this hypocritical high ground, stop it. Stop it now. Bobby, and this is just one example. Bobby and Susan are the most recent example. We don't know what's going on in their life. Yeah, they were hanging out together in a hammock and all that good stuff, and they're all lovey-dovey in front of the camera. It's none of your damn business. That's what it comes down to. It's not your business. Yes, they put it out there. Yes, they did. They made a statement, and there's been plenty of support, but there have been certain people who have commented on these videos that have really, really gotten under my skin, because it's the same people that will sit here and quote the Bible. And yet again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be chauvinistic or misogynistic or anything like that, but usually it comes from women who are dressing completely and totally immodestly in front of a camera. And I don't want to hear anything about what Bobby and Susan are doing until you clean up your own act. Just like I was saying in the previous part of the video, I got a backyard to clean up. Clean up your own backyard and make sure that you're right with the Lord and that you're right with the church, whatever church denomination that happens to be. But make sure you're right with the Lord before you sit here and you start condemning the actions of other people. It doesn't sound to me, it seems to me, that many of you are condemning the souls of Bobby and Susan and not condemning their actions. Now, do I necessarily agree with their actions? When it comes to divorce, I can't say anything about that. If they're doing anything outside of marriage, obviously I cannot say anything about that. But what irritates me the most is the fact that many of you are sitting there and condemning them. Many of you, most of you, like 90% of you, have been very supportive. And I understand one thing. Many of you are probably going to bring this up. Bobby and Susan are grown adults. They don't need me coming to their defense. But I just felt like I needed to say something that couldn't be fit within a YouTube commentary. Okay? So, with that being said, you got my update on the project, and you've got my feelings on what has, quote-unquote, rocked the gardening world, so to speak, which I really don't think it has, but it did irritate me, some of the comments that I saw. And I understand, like I said, they're grown adults, they're a big boy and they're a big girl, they can defend themselves. But fortunately for them, they have the grace and intuition not to give any of you any sort of validation. Okay? They're not going to sit here and dignify your remarks, your comments, with any sort of response. So therefore, as usual, my handle is XAngel. I am the unknown variable in the equation. So I will stand for truth and for what is right, no matter what it takes. With that said, you have an update from my previous, about my garden project. You have my opinion on the Bobby and Susan situation, even though I don't think it's a situation. And finally, as I've said, may God bless you, and may God bless and save this wonderful republic of ours.